The current president, Donald Trump, has been imposing many tariffs on imported goods from other countries. Tariffs are taxes that raise prices imposed by one country on goods imported by another country. As a result, many conflicts and strong opinions have developed towards Trump over the course of his term so far. Many sources say that Trump is imposing these tariffs because it will increase government revenue, along with encourage Americans to purchase more American-made goods. However, to fully grasp this concept, it's important that we understand the history and the origins of why tariffs were originally created. By understanding the origins of tariffs, we can then better recognize how tariffs affect us as consumers through the cost and the supply of the goods. By building on that foundation, we can then dive into a couple of the specific tariffs that are currently affecting us as Americans, along with the countries that they are affecting as well. Ultimately, examining the history, purpose, and the effects of tariffs allows for a clearer understanding of how these trade measures work, along with how they connect to those imposed during President Trump's administration. To understand the impact of tariffs today, let's first explore the origins of why tariffs were created. Tariffs were first established way back when, in the founding years of the United States, 1776, and has continued to be a large characteristic of the U.S. today. In the early years of the United States, tariffs were the primary source of revenue. Revenue is all the money. And so when the tariff of 1789, one of the first laws passed by our young American government, it was as much about protection as it was raising money. The tariffs allowed the U.S. to pay off their war debt to Great Britain after the Civil War, according to Thomas Reuter's Tax and Accounting 2025. Fast forward multiple years to one of the most infamous tariff acts in the United States history, the Tariff Act of 1930, also known as the Smoot-Hawley Tariff. This tariff raised U.S. tariffs to the highest level since 1828, according to the Library of Congress. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff was such a big deal because it led to friction with our trade countries, along with economic hardships such as the Great Depression. Because of the high tariffs, the prices rose, and that's what made it so much harder for our U.S. citizens during the Great Depression. While we as a nation are not currently facing a depression, we are feeling the effects throughout the economy of the high tariffs. It's important to recognize how these tariffs affect us financially and affect the availability of consumer goods. Because of tariffs, inflation is on the rise. In August, the Consumer Price Index for all urban consumers rose 0.4%. Seasonally adjusted, it then rose 2.9% over the last 12 months, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. They also found that food rose 3.2% from August of 2024 to 2025. The food with the highest rise currently is meat, poultry, fish, and eggs. All around, they have a 5.2%. For example, ground beef last year was $5.60 per pound, and now ground beef costs $6.30 a pound. Food with the lowest rise currently is dairy-related products. They have a 0.7% increase. Whole milk went from $4.02 a gallon to $4.20 a gallon. From the mechanical side of things, vehicles have also seen an increase in prices. Kelley Blue Book says that shoppers can expect tariffs to increase the prices by around $6,000 for vehicles priced under $40,000. So how do these numbers affect the supply of consumer goods? Since tariffs increase the prices, that effect is that it limits the amount of goods that can be imported, possibly leading to higher demands for some certain consumer goods. On the positive side, the shift can encourage more domestically made goods in the United States instead of having to rely on imported goods from other countries. These general effects become clear while looking at the specific tariffs that are currently causing some conflicts in the United States, along with economic friction. So let's take a look at some of the specific tariffs, their percentages, and the countries they are currently affecting. As a side note, the baseline tariff percentage is about 10% for essentially all countries. So the first one would be auto parts, and they have a set tariff of 25% according to JP Morgan Global Research. This can harm American jobs along with increased prices for simple car services. The countries feeling the effects are Japan and the United Kingdom. They are seeing the most hits with the 25% tariff rates. Lumber has a tariff rate of 10% according to the Atlantic Council, and this can affect the housing development, construction in general, and slow down the overall housing market. Canada is seeing the highest rates with 45% tariff rates on lumber, along with a threat of 250%. Bananas receive about 10 to 15% on their tariff rates, and this affects Americans because in 2023, the U.S. imported over $2 billion worth of bananas. That's a lot of bananas. And so because America cannot supply that many bananas, Guatemala and Central American countries feel the most effects, and their rates are the 10 to 15%. Coffee imports are also being affected with a 10 to 50% increase. Coffee is one of the most consumed beverages in the United States, and it's also bought in bulk by many, many people. And you can start to see the increase in prices in the shops and even at home. But who knows, maybe the rise in coffee prices can slow down the caffeine addiction in the United States. The countries that currently feel the most effects are Latin America and Colombia. They have the 10 to 15% rate. But on the other hand, Brazil, who supplies about 35% of our coffee grounds, according to the USDA, they are being taxed with 50% rates. Now, after reviewing some of the specific tariffs, the financial effects, and the historical background, it's clear that these policies play a significant role in the functioning of the United States. In conclusion, while we are under President Trump's administration, tariffs have become a major focus, influencing prices, trade, and the economic growth. While the entire outcome of tariffs has yet to be fully seen, understanding the history and the impact offers insights into how tariffs continue to shape Americans' economy and the people. Thank you.